And welcome back to the ICC Hour. Start of a new year, 2020. So we got to start it off right. We're welcoming in Dr. Allen, the president here at ICC. And Dr. Allen, first off, thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here, Adam. Thanks for having me.
All right, coming off that Christmas break, how was your break?
Well, it was a great break. Had a lot of family time, which was great. A lot of opportunity to visit with some friends and family, and a little celebrating on New Year's Eve even, and so that was great. But it's always good to get back and hit the spring semester rolling.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is the spring semester, that is the busy semester for everybody across the board. So
really
before we get into some details, just talk about maybe look back at last semester, some of the highlights for that, and then some of the plans for this semester.
You know, it was a great fall semester. We had some great things accomplished, both in the classroom, on courts and fields. I think the neat thing is that we got a couple of really great recognitions with the number 1 best community college in Mississippi and the number 25 best community college in the country by Wallet Hub, but then also to follow that up with an Aspen Excellence Prize recognition as top 150 community colleges in the country out of over 1,200 community colleges, as well as then the ability to compete for number 1 community college in the country. And that's the 5th time we've gotten that top 150 designation as a community college out of, I think, 6 times they've done that award. So.
And consistency
no
is always
doubt.
the key to everything.
There's no doubt.
What do you credit that to?
Well, you know, obviously it takes great faculty and staff. You've got to have quality instruction occurring in that classroom. You've got to have the right support structure outside of the classroom to help those students get what they need to be successful, to have a fun environment. We've got to have a fun environment. But then also to meet our students wherever they are, no matter their age, no matter their preparation academically or not. Great career technical programs with great professors that are able to move them straight to industry. It takes all of those things meshed together to really make this work. And we're really successful at moving students to the point of success in their life. And we have the highest graduation rate we've ever had as an institution. 8% higher than our state average and 16% higher than the regional average. So really proud of what we're accomplishing.
So a lot of success last semester.
No doubt.
And 2019 as a whole.
Yes.
All right, so how do we build on those heading into 2020?
Well, you know, we were beginning the process for a brand new strategic plan. So that's something that we'll be working on this spring and getting that rolled out this year. So that'll be something new and exciting to really kind of project us forward. But, you know, when you think about the spring, you've got the start of the legislative cycle. That's always an opportunity. You've also got spring sports that are starting up. You've got all of the spring music and performing arts programs that will be taking place throughout the spring semester. Excited about those as well. You know, for you, it's a very busy time in sports alone, just simply because of all the teams that are playing at the same time. And so that's exciting. It's also really neat to think about. Fall next year we'll be having volleyball play. And so that'll be adding to our busyness, but also the excitement of what's going on at the college. So really a lot of great things going. I look forward to, it's hard to think about graduation in May, but you have to think about that. And that's what we're working towards, is getting people to walk across that stage.
And one thing we're going to focus on now, because I don't think a lot of people really realize what goes into this, is the legislative side of things. It's not just you, it's the entire community college system as well, coming together to work for the greater good. So before we get into some of the details about it, just talk about just how you guys go about initiating that idea and what the community college system wants to go after.
That's a great question. You know, the presidents really start as soon as the last session is over. We begin to evaluate how things went, what we were successful with, what we weren't, what we were moderately successful with, where we might have got a win in a policy decision, but maybe we found out we need to tweak it a little bit more in the future, and sometimes that happens. Also, what are the next hot button items for the state that we could be a part of, that we could help move the needle on for the state? So we began looking at that. As soon as the session's over, we go into a summer planning session that's about 2 days, and we get an opportunity to hear from some legislative leaders and let them share with us what their thoughts are. But also we begin to put together and brainstorm and figure out what we really want to set as a path for the next year. It is not an easy process. No. It is not. It is very laborious. It takes a lot of time and energy. Unfortunately, at times it takes me away from ICC, but it's for the greater good. It's not only for our good, but it's for the good of the whole state, and that's just what we do. It's not that we just need more money or we want more students. It's that I really believe we do the right things for the state of Mississippi, and Mississippi needs more of what we do. We need to help more people achieve their career goals, be able to be a positive influence in the workforce, those type of things. We've got a lot more work left to do.
Right, and we have 15 colleges in the system, and of course everybody wants the best for their college.
Yes,
so
yes.
Where do you find that common ground whenever, say, somebody might want to push it a little bit more towards what they do versus what we do? There has to be that common ground.
You know, Mississippi's pretty unique. I've worked in 2 different states, and the beauty of the Mississippi Community College system is we're 15 independent, autonomous institutions with our own boards, and that's who we answer to. But we do a great job of the 15 presidents coming together and developing one mindset. And we do that in partnership with the Mississippi Community College Board leadership. We also do that with a number of other entities, alumni associations, faculty associations, and the like. And we began to put that together to say this is the path we're going to go down. And the beauty is it really protects all.
Right.
Yes, there may be an item that the way that that's distributed might help our institution a little bit more than somebody else, but on this other item, they're probably going to get a win. But it's a fair and equitable system, and we know how things are going to be distributed, so there's no mystery to it. And it helps us go in and present our case in one case rather than 15 cases that I don't think we'd be successful with. And sometimes those are partners with IHL and K-12 at times going towards the same thing.
And I know a large part of that is you got to have champions for
No
the
doubt.
cause. And I know you don't want to get into names or anything like that, but just talk about the importance of those people that do carry the banner for the champion, champion the community college system.
You know, the community college presidents, we kind of divide up our responsibilities across the state. And so this past year, I've been chairing the Workforce Education Committee for the community college presidents. So I try to stay as involved as I can with our workforce directors around the state at the community colleges. Other presidents, Jesse Smith and Jim Haffey, Dr. Smith and Dr. Haffey, provide the leadership for the legislative efforts. We all have input. We all have an opportunity to really make our argument or our case for something, and then we try to figure out the best way to present this. Sometimes we hit a home run, sometimes we don't.
Right.
And it's a live and learn scenario, and there's always politics that come into play that we don't have control over. We may not be successful with a bill this year, and next year we'll be immensely successful with it. You just never know. Something might have got in the way that we don't have control over. So we don't take it personal. We try to always look that we're working for the good of Mississippi and the good of the people we serve, and we're just trying to move that needle for them.
At Itawamba Community College, your education is our top priority. With a 20-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio, you will get the help that you need from your instructors. With 3 locations in Fulton, Tupelo, and Belton, ICC offers classes that will prepare you to enter almost any job field of your choice. Learn more about Wallet Hub's #1 community college in Mississippi and the 25th best in the country by visiting iccms.edu or apply online at apply.iccms.edu. Itawamba Community College. The best start here.
Ever since you got that license, you haven't stopped moving forward. Now that you're older and on the move, you need a safer place to keep your money. We get it. A student checking account frees you up with things like mobile check deposit to take care of that check from grandma without having to stop at a bank. Pay with your phone when you're out with friends. And stop worrying about ATM fees. We'll pay you back for those. Worry about your future, not your money. And know that we'll stick with you, wherever you go. Renaissance Bank, understanding you. Member FDIC.
Student involvement is a top priority here at Itawamba Community College.
If you want to be involved with student government, then the Student Government Association is the place for you.
If you have a stellar GPA, then Phi Theta Kappa is for you.
If you're interested in the diverse culture of our campus population, then the Diversity Club is for you.
If you're interested in leadership and service, then Indian Delegation is for you.
If you're majoring in computer programming or computer networking, then CPNA, the Computer Programming Networking Association, is for you.
If you're interested in good conversations and free lunch on Thursdays, then the Wesley Foundation is for you.
Our health science programs also have specific organizations for those majors.
Student Activities is excited to bring you new opportunities here at the ICC Tupelo campus.
Whatever your passion may be, we have a place for you.
This video is brought to you by Phi Theta Kappa Beta Chi Sigma Tupelo campus.
We're talking with Dr. Jay Allen about the legislative side of things here at the community college, and we appreciate you taking time here for the ICC Hour. Now, I know you got a few notes in front of you and some things there, so let's kind of tell those listeners, maybe give them an inside view of what you guys are working towards right now.
Sure. Well, let me share this, Adam. I think it's important to note, because we kind of lose track sometimes of the impact Mississippi community colleges make, ICC included in that. But Mississippi community colleges provide $4.86 return on investment for every dollar that's invested in the community college system. That's really amazing to think about. Where else do you get $4.86 for every dollar put in? That's pretty impressive.
This is impressive.
And so that's making a real impact for Mississippians every year. More than 90,000 Mississippians were trained through our workforce development programs at Mississippi community colleges. So it's not just what we're doing in the credit classroom, but what we're doing in business and industry and on our campuses with them to move their incumbent workers forward and make them better employees for those companies. 96% of the students attending Mississippi community colleges are Mississippi residents. So it's Mississippi born and bred.
Yeah, and that's big.
And they're going to stay by and large here in Mississippi to work. And so that's really, really impressive. 70,024 credit students were enrolled at Mississippi community colleges last year. So that's really, really important to think about. And each year, our graduates, 75% stay and work in Mississippi within 1 year of graduating, and on average, 8,876 community college graduates enter the Mississippi workforce each year, generating approximately $522 million in total wages and salaries. So we're making an impact every day. So as we look at our priorities, obviously we always have the need to increase our funding.
Right.
Not, again, because we're just trying to spend more, but because our costs go up every year.
Right.
We've taken some pretty good hits through the years, and so we've got to get back to a place that we can do business. So we're looking for a 5% growth in that area. We're also looking for some salary increases for our community college employees. Every college has been able to handle that a little bit different through the years, but we really need that across the board ability to make an impact. Capital improvements. We always have the need for improving our facilities and or replacing our facilities. So we'll be looking for about $35 million in capital expenses for that on a 4-year legislative commitment. So we'll see what happens there. Probably the one that's going to be the biggest impact is the Economic Incentive Act of 2020. And we're looking for $30 million per year, 4-year legislative commitment. And that's going to help us improve our infrastructure for career and technical education. Also, trying to get to a standardized dual credit model across the state. And we know it's important, but it's really been a financial hit for us. And so we're trying to shore that up. Also looking at a pathway to a Bachelor's of Applied Technology. Now, we got that in place this year, but we want to continue to grow that with our Bachelor's of Applied Science. And that's something that we'll work to continue to grow and develop more and more and make sure that there's not anything in statute that would prevent that from working for our students.
Right.
And then I'm excited to think about getting to more nationally recognized credentials. We have that for pretty much every program, but we want to make sure that every student that leaves us with a career technical degree does so with a nationally recognized credential. And we're the only people that really do that.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that we're doing that. We make it a priority for our students and know that when they get out there, somebody's looking to employ them.
Right. And why would something like that be important, I guess, would be a good question to follow up
Well, I mean,
with.
that's great. You got to kind of think about it this way. We can put our stamp of approval that says, hey, this person's ready to be a nurse. But when they pass that national licensing board, then there's no doubt nationwide they're ready to be a nurse. And so that's what's important about it. And it's not just in nursing and in our allied health programs. Almost every program of study has some type of national credential that basically is that stamp of approval that they've learned what they need to learn and they're ready to go to work and make an impact in that industry. So we want to make sure that we shore that up for all of our programs.
Right. Okay. So how do you get this message heard to the right people?
It's great. You know, each community college works with the legislators that serve that community college. So we begin to have conversations with them, talk with them about these messages, the things that we want to see where we can move the needle. You know, sometimes it's a policy issue and it doesn't have money tied to it. Other times it is money tied to it. They can help us get an understanding of how this might be received or how we could tweak our message to make it more palatable at the legislature and or where the legislative agendas may be that year. Then we began to work it all through the session. and we try to keep 2 presidents at the Capitol every week, so that we all take our turns. And it's a way for us to kind of keep our ear to the ground of what's happening, where do we need to put a little more effort in a particular item or so. And everything follows a different calendar. So there may be an item that gets picked up really early and then something that's way towards the end. Our funding's typically way towards the end.
Right.
And so you just never know when you will achieve the goals that you have. And sometimes things die the last day, and sometimes they get through the last day. You just never know.
I would say just swing at it, and sometimes you hit it, sometimes you miss.
That's correct. And usually we learn from that experience, and then we begin to tweak what we're doing.
All right, so you talked about the workforce and your role in that. Kind of explain to everybody what your role is in that sense.
So we have a set of deans or directors of workforce education across the state, and they serve at the community colleges and try to move the workforce efforts forward in that area from a training standpoint. So what I do is I represent the presidents in that situation, and I work with a couple of other presidents on a committee, but then I try to meet with those groups when they're meeting, when appropriate, or sometimes I call into their meeting, and make sure that I understand what their needs are, what their issues are, where we're having a roadblock in serving the industries we're trying to serve. And then try to communicate that back to the presidents, communicate that back to the Mississippi Community College Board, to the SWIB Board, whoever it may be, that's that we're in partnership with to make a difference in our work with our workforce partners. So a lot of times it's a lot of listening, and then trying to figure out, okay, this is an item that we could actually do something with, and let's take that and begin to try to move that forward.
All right, so something we could do in that sense is the listeners out there that may have the time to reach out to their representatives.
Yes.
Kind of challenge them or tell them how they can do that and some of the things that they can champion, because it's going to pay forward if, to improve the community.
The community college system in Mississippi is the best system in the country. Right. I mean, it's hands down just unbelievable what we're able to do in this state. And we're not the best funded system in the country by any means. We're not the worst either.
Right.
We do a lot with what we have. We try to be all things to all people. We take everybody, no matter their academic preparation, we take them in and we give them a place within our institution, an opportunity to learn, and then we provide them with support to meet those challenges. We're making an impact every day. The beauty of our Belden Center is you can walk in the front door without a high school diploma, needing assistance, and through partners with other state agencies, and then our adult basic education, we can get you out the back end of that building, not only with the with a high school diploma in essence, but also training along the way that puts you right into the workforce. That's pretty special, and we do that all across the state. So I'm excited about what we do. We've got a great message and a great story to tell. I just don't know that we always tell it as well as we should, and people think about us as often as they should. Then you pair in our housing, the fact that we have housing, the fact that we have athletics. There's a lot of students that wouldn't be at a community college. They may not be in college at all if they didn't have the opportunity to play a sport.
Right.
And so, and we have a tremendous success rate, graduation completion rate of 98% and higher with our athletes this past year.
Yeah.
I want to see us, that's not enough.
Yeah.
I need it to be higher.
Yeah.
But I also need our general population to be that high as well.
Right. And of course, we're talking with Dr. Jay Allen, the president here at ICC. Dr. Allen, before I let you go, goals and just plans for 2020.
Well, I hope we'll have a great spring semester. That will lead us into a wonderful summer. We get to do a lot of planning in the summer and kind of getting some things ready for that fall, and then we'll head into that fall. But I think about, the success we've had this past year and in the years past is still not enough.
Right.
We've got things to improve on. We've got to get better. I always say we'll just get a little bit better every day at what we do. Then as we look back, it's going to be amazing to see how far we've come. So I hope that will occur over 2020, that we will find some ways to make some large leaps and gains, and then we'll also have some time to really dive into little, small, incremental change that are going to make those big impacts. Because we're making a difference in people's lives. One thing, Adam, we'll need to talk about in the near future will be we're going to be bringing forth a new career technical program, a new technical program called Robotics and Automated Engineering.
Okay.
It's going to be a great opportunity to reach out to some students with a really exciting program of study that will take them right into so many of our manufacturing settings and other settings we can't even dream of today.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to see that coming, very high tech. And we've got the capabilities to teach that right at our Belden Center. It's going to be really neat to see that program come online fall of 2020.
I know we always say the best start here.
No doubt.
I think we can also say opportunities start here as well, and that's kind of our creed here at ICC is to give people that opportunity for a better tomorrow.
It's exciting to see our alums and see the great things they've accomplished, and the fact that they started right here. Some of them didn't exactly have the vision for what they would be doing today at the time they started, but it's neat to know that we had a part in their success. It's also neat to think about we may have taken them well beyond what they ever thought capable, and we gave them that spark they needed to reach the goals they have.
Well, Dr. Allen, thank you for your time today. I know busy time of year for you, and look forward to talk to you more in the future.
Sounds great. Thanks, Adam.
We'll be back more of the ICC Hour right after this.
Zelle is the new way to move money, and it's already included inside your Renaissance Bank mobile app. No additional downloads, no additional signups. Whether you're paying a friend back for pizza or chipping in for gas, Zelle lets you send money quickly to almost anyone in your contacts. Here's how it works. Open the Renaissance app, log in, and tap the blue button with the white plus sign on it and select Zelle. Choose Send, Request, or Split. Pick who you want to exchange money with, either from your contacts or by entering a phone number or email. Choose the account you want to pay with and select an amount. Review and confirm. To stay organized, you can even include a short description of what each payment is for. That's it. Your money is on the move. Most payments take place in just minutes. No need to download another app. It all happens inside here. Balance the bill, split the check, and pay your way with Zelle. To learn more about Zelle, visit RenaissanceBank.com or download the Renaissance Bank mobile app to start using Zelle today. Renaissance Bank. Understanding you. Member FDIC.
That's home. That's just like the Ravens. That's just like Pahokee, Florida. That's my second home. I got my degree from there, my first degree, college degree. It's part of my heart, it's part of my soul, it's part of my spirit. And, you know, it's everything. Itawamba Community College, baby, it's everything. It shaped me up to being a great man because it was part of the journey of me becoming the young man I am today. And it's home, man. That's it. Like, I could go there and lay my head down without no problems. Itawamba Community College, the best start here.
And welcome back to the ICC Hour now. I've got a special guest in the house, a good friend of mine, and the director of the CVB here in Tupelo, Neal McCoy. Neal, thanks for joining us this morning.
Adam, thanks for having me.
Well, you're coming off a really big event, really cool event. Your first ever New Year's Eve celebration here in Tupelo. Kind of just tell us about that event.
Yeah, well, last I guess it was going out of 2018 into 2019, we heard a lot of social media buzz that people wanted something to do on New Year's in Tupelo. And so we heard that, the mayor heard that, and luckily some potential sponsors heard that. And we went to work and we said, all right, we're going to do this. The public's asking for it. And so we did. We went to work planning this event, and thanks to our sponsors, Century Constructions, Bank Plus, Ross & Yeager, and multiple media partners put this together. The city of Tupelo, downtown Main Street, and man, the good Lord was on our side with the
Yes.
weather, and that just equated to a lot of success. You know, we had something for all ages, everybody that wanted something to do had something to do in downtown Tupelo on December 31st, 2019, and we rang in January 1st, 2020 with a bang.
And I was out of town, so wasn't able to attend, my bad.
Yeah.
But I saw it on social media, and it was really cool. Like just seeing how much everybody was engaged with it, how much everybody was posting. So let's talk about the planning stages of that. Obviously, this isn't something you show up in December and be like, hey, let's go do this. But
Right.
let's talk about it. When did this idea come about? You already talked about a lot of people wanted it, and then just take through the planning process.
Yeah, I would say probably in the spring we made the announcement. We kind of committed to doing it. And so when we made the announcement, immediately we had Century Construction come on board, and they said, we're in, we want to be a part of the ball drop.
Awesome.
And so they took ownership of that. And from there we got into programming, and what we said is we want it to be family friendly. And so we developed a kids area, and we got a lot of good feedback from that. In the fact that we wanted the kids to be able to have a New Year's experience without having to stay up till midnight. And that way parents of small children could do that also and still go home and you know, or send, which we heard a lot of, is they sent their kids home with grandparents or to a babysitter, and they came back and enjoyed the midnight festivities. And we worked with our hotel and restaurant partners. We had our hotel partners offering hotel packages where people could come and stay in Tupelo for that. And then the restaurants were on board. They said, we'll be open. We'll be open all night. And some of them stayed open past midnight to offer breakfast. And, you know, by all the measures, it was successful. Attendance, you know, the crowd was very diverse. That's kind of what I've kept seeing, is like it made so many people so happy to see all ages, all races enjoying themselves in downtown Tupelo on a beautiful night. Obviously, Tupelo has kind of transformed. Debbie Brandenburg and her staff at Main Street have transformed what downtown Main Street looks like over the last decade. Right. And for the first time in 2 decades, we were back with a concert on Main Street, in the middle of the street, with a concert.
And kind of talk about that, and you touched on it a little bit. It's not just CVB. It's a lot of people that go into this. And Tupelo, it's a unique place, and it's a unique story to tell, and it's unique to see CVB, Main Street, and everybody work together so well to tell Tupelo's story.
That's it, Adam. And you know, a lot of people talk about the Tupelo spirit and those kind of things, and you know, it's been instilled, and we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Okay, there's people that have instilled this leadership mentality in Tupelo for a long time. And that mentality is when you walk into a community meeting, you put your hat at the door and you go in for the betterment of the community. And that's kind of the approach that we take, and we love partnering with Main Street. I tell you, I could list that every city department had a role, some shape, form, or fashion with New Year's. And I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. You know, the police department was there providing safety, fire department was there for safety, Parks and Recreation handled the fireworks component, Public Works made sure the streets were blocked off and picked up, and everybody played a role in, and Water and Light helped get banners hung and make sure we had power at the stages, and you know, they helped hang that, you know, they hung the kids' ball drop. So I'm telling you, it took every one of us pushing in one direction to make it happen, and by that we were successful. And you know, it is special, but the community has to make it special. Right. You know, we can do all this work, but if the community doesn't support it, you know, both by their attendance and with sponsors putting dollars behind it, it's not going to work. But it did. People wanted this. They showed up, and they showed up in masses. I heard from a number of people. A lot of Alabama folks came over. A lot of folks that I saw from Columbus, West Point area came over, and you know, we've already had our debriefing and start planning for next year. So it's going to happen again. December 31st, 2020. It's going to be a Thursday night going into a Friday and a long weekend. So, you know,
and Mother Nature agree like this past time.
Right. If you will take care of Mother Nature for me.
Well, I'll tell you, I was in Orlando, so all the rain was down there with us, and we took care of that.
Thank you for jumping on that grenade.
Well, let's talk about this, because that's one thing a lot of people don't think about when it comes on to putting events like this, is the fact that it does take a lot of organization between, say, the police, the fire department, the city workers as well. What's the process of that, and how does that happen?
Well, it starts with leadership. Mayor Jason Shelton, he wants this community to be great, and he challenges us to be great. And we have the city department heads that are willing to jump in. And again, you know, no one does this for the thank you. They do it for the purpose of what we're doing it for, and that's the citizens of Tupelo. Because we all love where we live, and we wanted to make it a special place. So it starts with the leadership, and that's Mayor Shelton, Don Lewis, and you know, they really challenge us to find a way to yes. Okay, you find a way to yes. How do you make these things happen? And they give us the resources. The city council is supportive of the things that we do. We understand that quality of life matters in this day and age. The way the economy works, quality of life matters about where people live and where they work. Right. Millennials these days are looking for a place to live, and then they're finding a job.
Right.
And so we're very aware of that. That's the reason why we do the things that we do for like New Year's and the other community events that we put a focus on throughout the year. And that's the challenge, Adam, is like New Year's was great, but we want 10 or 12 of those type of events. Maybe it doesn't look like what it did New Year's, but it's still something that everyone can come down and be a part of. So, and there are challenges in that of how do you make it special? How do you pay for it?
Right.
How do you get volunteers without doing volunteer burnout? So those are the challenges that we have, but we're up to them. We want to take those on because it's good for the community.
And it's very similar to ICC. Jake Hartfield, our director of student activities, you talk about people looking for places to live. Well, yes, I got a nice house. Yes, nice restaurant. But what is there to do? People want that entertainment factor in that sense. So this is kind of the same thing that we do at ICC that you guys do as well.
Right. Yeah. I would say it's very similar. For a student, they go to class. For people, they go to work, and then they're off work or they're out of class. What is there to do? What can you do to stand out to make my quality of life better? And that's really a driving force for millennials that are kind of outpacing baby boomers in this workforce generation. As boomers start to retire and millennials take control of the workforce, and so we put a heavy emphasis on quality of life. The mayor has made that a very important part of this term that he's in, and going forward, that quality of life is going to be essential. The Community Development Foundation here in Tupelo and Lee County, they've made that a very important factor for them. So, quality of life. What is there to do after 5 o'clock, or in ICC's case, after class is let out?
Right. Well, Neal, you talked about moving forward. That's one thing we're going to talk about. This was the kickoff of something even bigger going on. But before we do that, I had a chance to catch up with Coach Michael Metz to talk about the upcoming ICC tennis season. So we're going to go to that interview real quick and come back with more of Neal right after this on the ICC Hour. And talking with Coach Metz about the upcoming tennis seasons. And Coach, before we talk about this season, let's talk about the fall season, a very productive season for both the men and women's teams. So kind of just give us a recap of this fall.
Yeah, well, we traveled probably at least twice as much as we did the fall before, because we felt like we needed that with having like a lot of young people on the team. So we had some success at the ITA tournament. We had 2 winners of the regional tournament there, which is a really big deal in our conference. And then a lot of the sophomores, they got a lot more experience this year than they did last year. So by the time we got to the end, I think our last scrimmage match, everybody was kind of worn out because they hadn't played so much. So it was very productive. I think we got a lot done.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing to have, because I think a lot of kids don't realize, coming from that high school to that college level, it's a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially for the freshmen. And we talk about that with all my colleagues here, that there's a big difference between a freshman and a sophomore. And, I think the freshmen were a little bit more tired than the sophomores at the end, because, some of them are used to having a spring season and not much of a fall.
Right.
And so, we got after it a lot this fall. So.
And one guy that had a very successful fall was Franco, I believe.
Roldan, Franco Roldan. Yeah, he finished All-American last year, finished 8th in the country. You obviously don't know who people are bringing in the spring.
Right.
But as far as what we were predicting from the fall, he's probably the top seeded player going into the spring. So we're excited about that. We're going to count on his leadership to help out with the younger guys and to be a strong point for us.
We'll talk about his progression as a freshman to sophomore. What's the biggest progressive you've seen, and what would you like to see him continue to work on leading into the season?
Yeah, so he's a tall kid. He's left-handed, which is a big advantage in tennis. And, when he first got here, we kind of talked about it. We sat down and talked about it. It felt like he wasn't utilizing his frame and his gifts and everything. So one thing we've changed a lot, and I think he would tell you that, is we've improved his net game, his volleys, and trying to get him to use his serve to come to the net more, because you're not going to make a living when you're 6'2", 6'1", tall, lanky kid and hits big ground strokes. He's not going to make a living just going side to side from the baseline. So we've been working on that constantly. We're hoping to see that pay off in the spring, and not just for ICC, but to help him in his future at a 4-year school. That's going to help him to become a big asset for them.
Absolutely. Now, you talked about it there a little bit on his part, but also the other sophomores. What can they do to help bring the freshmen up and kind of just get them to speed whenever the season rolls around?
I think teaching them how to be consistent, teaching them how to fight. Freshmen, you never know what you're going to get, because you go out there and you can say things are looking great in practice and you don't know how they're going to handle the nerves. Well, these guys were like that last year. They lost a lot of 3-set matches. where the nerves just got them and they just almost pulled it out but couldn't do it. And so we've talked about them turning the corner this year and hoping that they can instill some of that with the freshmen and just to get them to calm down and just feel like they belong there. So.
Now, you do coach the women and men, so let's focus on the women right now. All right, so kind of give us an overview of what you can expect or what fans can expect out of this team this year.
Fun to watch, great personalities, a lot of experience. I feel like as a coach, I want my sophomores to be playing so much better than they did as freshmen, and so we have a lot of sophomores on this team. I talked to, especially at the top, our top 4 are sophomores, and so I told them individually, we expect you guys to play like sophomores this year. This is where we're going to turn the corner. So, we have an international at the number 1 spot who can hit as hard or harder than anybody in the league. And when she's on, she's a tough out.
Right.
And then we got another fighter there, and then at number 1 doubles, they're as tough as anybody in the league as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do this year, seeing if we can try to make a trip to nationals for them. So.
All right, and then the same question for the guys. What can we expect to see out of the guys this year?
Yeah, it's a deep league, but at the same time, I don't know that there's like teams that are just unstoppable. I think it's going to be a very competitive league. And so when I talked earlier in the interview about consistency, that's going to be more important than anything. We're going to have to play consistently well because there's going to be 3 or 4 teams that all have a chance to win state. So.
And of course, you can visit letsgoicc.com for that full schedule. So let's kind of just overview the schedule and not break it down one by one, because I know you're probably still going to, Mother Nature just throw fits into it as soon as we do that. But you guys always play up out of division or out of conference. Really no conference championship. It just leads up to the conference tournament.
Right.
But you guys always play up to get you ready for that end of the year tournament.
Right, and we're going to do that this year. There's been a lot of changes in the league, and starting next year, in 2021, spring of 2021, we will start to have a regular season champion.
Okay.
And then, so every match will count. And we think it's a good thing because sometimes people will protect their players, and that keeps players from having a chance to get a better ranking.
Yeah.
If you get 1 win against Colin and then you sit your player out or something, so it makes everybody have to put their best team out there.
Right.
There are going to be some challenges because we're going to have to play home and away with every team now.
Yeah.
We used to, the further distance teams, we would just rotate. And so now we're already starting to do that this spring. We're supposed to have a week to make it up, and if we don't do that, it won't be the end of the world this year, but next year we're going to have to make sure we play everybody twice. So that is going to make things a little bit more exciting to me. I think it's going to put more weight on the regular season matches. But for this spring, it's still the same. You don't want to say it's just development, but you do have some wiggle room there to make adjustments.
Yeah.
And
it's good for you as coaches to get that used to see, okay, this is what we have to do in case that does come up where you do have to reschedule.
Absolutely.
And, maybe play 3 matches in a week.
Absolutely. And, this year we voted on it as coaches at the coaches meeting, and Mississippi Gulf Coast will be the host team this year for the state tournament, so we'll be down there. And then moving forward, they'll change it to a format where the number 1 seeded team will be the host team or have the opportunity to host.
Okay.
So, a lot of changes coming, so it's exciting.
It's an exciting time in the MACJC for tennis there. Well, Coach, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
No, just come out and support us this year. We've got a fun group of kids. They're great kids. One of the sad things about my job is I don't get them very long. I get them for 2 years, and then they leave, and you get attached to them, and they're already gone. But this group of kids, not just on the court, but the things that they plan on doing with their careers is really impressive. And so I hope that they'll get people to come out and support them and cheer them on.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time today, and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Brought to you by Renaissance Bank, the bank that understands you. Learn more at renaissancebank.com.
And welcome back as we're continuing our conversation with Neal McCoy, the director here at CVB. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
All right, at MyTupelo on social media.
Yep, at MyTupelo, Tupelo.net if you're looking for us on the web.
All right, so we talked about the New Year's Eve celebration. That was, to say overwhelming success might be an understatement. It was huge.
Yeah.
Now that kind of sets the door for what you guys have coming up. I'm not going to try to say this word because we've gone back and forth during the break. The 150th celebration of Tupelo.
Right. So, you can either choose to say it, Adam, or you're going to have to spell it, 1 of the 2.
Oh, my goodness. Sesquicentennial.
Yeah,
not even close.
Not even close. It's the sesquicentennial.
Okay.
And so it's the 150th anniversary of Tupelo being incorporated. That happened on July 20th of 1870. So here we are 150 years later, and we're celebrating our 150th birthday. We kind of kicked that off with a great New Year's event, and then we have kind of a year-long celebration plan. each month is themed with something special, and so what we hope to do is to get people to learn about our history, to celebrate where we are in the moment, and then we want to inspire the next generation to do better. And so we have a couple of ways to do that. You can go to Tupelo150.com to see a history timeline of the city and to submit stories about the city and maybe some influential people that have been here. And then we have a Tupelo 150 challenge where we're challenging people to give 150 minutes of the year, that's 2.5 hours of volunteer time, and to make their community better and then to make themselves better. And we're doing that through the United Way of Northeast Mississippi, Rebecca Nelson, and the Volunteer Hub. There's great organizations and agencies that need volunteer help throughout the year. And we felt like if 30-something thousand citizens can give 2.5 hours, that's over 96,000 hours of community service that will be given, and that makes our community better, and that instills the leadership and the drive to make Tupelo better going forward. So that's kind of what we're looking to do, is to instill community pride and to celebrate our past and where we are.
And I guess it's kind of, once again, we relate this to ICC. You know, we tell our college students all the time, you know, college is what you make it by being involved, by doing. And this is one of those situations as well, whether you're going to school or where you live, if you're not involved, if you're not part of the community, it could be kind of boring.
Right. That's exactly right. And, you know, ICC does a great job of offering student services, of offering clubs, organizations of like-minded people with similar interests and similar missions. And, you know, that's just on a college campus. And so when you graduate from there, and if you're plugged in, if you're involved, when you graduate into a community and you're out of college and joining the workforce, you'll have that desire and that need to want to be plugged in and to make, whether it's your campus or your community, better. And so we hope that people do that they see opportunities to get plugged in, to get engaged, and to make Tupelo better. And, you know, for you and for what ICC does, y'all are preparing those people for what is important in life.
And I've noticed the billboards around town. It has the website on there. Yep. Give the website where people know where to go.
Tupelo150.com. It's a great looking website. It's easy to navigate. As I mentioned, there's a way to submit stories. I've heard some great stories, and maybe that's another segment for another time. Maybe off the air.
Yes,
some of them.
There you go.
But there's some great stories. I've heard one about Tupelo's first mayor, Medford was his last name, and so I've enjoyed hearing that. And you know, the community can submit those stories. They can also find out about ways to get involved with the Tupelo 150 Challenge. There's also a grant program for communities or for different entities that want to do events celebrating the sesquicentennial. And they can do that as long as it falls within one of our 4 pillars for the celebration. They can do that. But, you know, this is going to be a year-long celebration. It's going to be something that, you know, probably will culminate with the big celebrations in July. July 20th is the actual day that we were incorporated, and so we'll have a ceremonial event that day. And I would anticipate that we will have some type of community party in some form or fashion in July. I know our Parks and Recreation Department does a great 4th of July celebration. And then the July 20th commemorative event. And then it seems like we should have another.
It's like just keep it going.
Just keep it going. That's right. And you know, and it really, it's fun to talk about, you know, these significant events. You can't just let them pass by. When Tupelo turned 100 years old, it was 1970. There's still some people that are active in the community that were part of that planning. And so we hope to get them involved. And for me, you know, I don't know that I will be around for the bicentennial. So, you know, celebrate the moments where you are. And certainly it's great times and great, you know, activities happening in the community, and something we should all be proud of. And so you take those moments, you celebrate your achievements, and you pat yourself on the back when you get a chance. But as I mentioned earlier, there's still lots to do. We take those challenges on. but it is good to step back and to pat yourself on the back and credit those before you that set us up for success.
Well, what events can you talk about? Because I know you guys like to surprise people at times. But, just talk about some of the events or highlight some of the events that will be going on throughout the year.
Okay, yeah. So we know that we have in February, the Gumtree Museum of Art is doing a great exhibit. It's an exhibit of clay, of molds of blues artists' face,
awesome.
of their face. So a blind artist actually did this.
Wow.
This lady's blind. She traveled around the country a lot in the Mississippi Delta, and she would touch the face of blues artists, and she molded their faces.
That's
and
awesome.
So you're able to walk around the exhibits and touch them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's meant to be touched.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do that as part of Black History Month and celebrate the blues artists. Obviously, Tupelo's most famous son, Elvis Presley, was influenced by the blues. Right here where you and I are sitting, this was Shake Rag. This is where the African American community where it exposed him to the blues, was right here. And so we're going to kind of give a nod to our city's past with that, with the blues and its influence on Elvis and Elvis on the world. And we'll do that at the Gumtree Museum of Art in February. And then throughout the year, like I mentioned in July, we'll have some things. August, we're going to focus on education as students are going back to school, both here in Tupelo and at ICC and our other great universities. And so we're going to talk about education. One of the greatest stories in Tupelo's past is how we integrated our schools without conflict. All of the teachers, all of the principals at the black schools kept their jobs. The principals remained principals. The teachers kept their positions when we integrated our schools. We had struggles, we had some issues to work through, but we did it without the strife and without the conflict that other communities had. And that, our strong public schools, is still the reason why Tupelo is thriving today.
Absolutely. And Tupelo and ICC, we do have a great partnership.
Sure.
Of course, we have the campus here. We're getting ready to open the new building soon as well. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Now, you are a product of ICC.
Yes.
So let's just think back, what some of your favorite memories while you were at ICC that you can talk about.
Well, I was going to say, man, ICC was a great time, and I still have great friendships. In fact, we kind of talk about New Year's, and I walk in the streets during New Year's, and I saw probably a half dozen of my good friends from my ICC days, and it was great to see them. Still count them as very close friends, and so we talk about education and we talk about quality of life, but it is those moments where you get to hang out on campus with your friends and create these memories. And ICC set me up for success. I went from ICC and graduated from Ole Miss, and the lessons that I learned from Mike Eaton as a manager on the football team, and creating relationships and understanding what hard work on your own, away from your parents, meant. Those are values that I still hold today and understand what it means to go the extra mile. Then I learned some other hard lessons in Pontotoc Hall, a lot about playing spades and some other things, but those are probably for the another podcast.
Another one of those
another time.
When we're off the air.
Right.
Two phases of this question, and we'll start with the Tupelo aspect. What does ICC mean to the city of Tupelo, its success in the future?
Well, it's very clear, ICC and then also our partnership with Ole Miss, that is a continued education opportunity for people that are here in our community that may not be able to go to Fulton campus or to the Oxford campus.
Right.
Okay, so number one, it is a pathway to better themselves and to get an education beyond high school. So number one, that's first and foremost. Secondly, it is great to say that we have higher education in our community. It is a draw. It is a reason why some people live in Tupelo, is because we have that campus there. And the things that have been added to the Tupelo campus, the investments that's been made over the last 15 years is significant, with the medical facility that is here, and its partnership with the North Mississippi Health Services is fantastic. It's amazing. It's award-winning. And so the investment, those that haven't been on the ICC Tupelo campus lately will be shocked. I mean, their jaw will literally hit the ground when they drive up and see it today. I get the pleasure of driving by it every week. My mom lives right there in the shadows of the campus, and I love driving by. And there's some pride in that, and I'm so thrilled to see the investment made on the Tupelo campus. And so we look forward to it growing. I can't wait to hear what comes out in the next 5 to 10 years. If what we've done over the last 10 years is any indication of what's going to happen going forward, I can't wait to hear that.
Absolutely. And then the second phase of that is, what does ICC mean to you?
Oh, wow. ICC is kind of where I went, after high school, and you kind of, your parents kind of encourage you to get out. I mean, that's where I landed first. And, it is a special place. I love going back. I love taking my kids back to athletic events. That's kind of what pulls me back. I've got 2 teenage boys that love sports, and so that's an outlet for us. I've got a daughter that loves art and loves to draw and those kind of things. I know there's an opportunity ahead for her. But honestly, when I think about it, in the stage I'm at in my life, I'm preparing my kids, and I see in their future them attending ICC because of the great foundation it builds going forward in life.
All right, so let's go back to where we started, talking about the New Year's Eve.
Yeah, and the fact you weren't there.
Yeah, the fact I wasn't there.
Right.
All right, so how long have you been in this position here at Tupelo?
Oh, I've been with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. It'll be 16 years in May of this year, and I've served as the executive director for the last 15 years.
So you've seen the full decade, and I'm a guy that, I see the success of others, and that gives me a charge.
Yeah.
Like, that inspires me.
Right.
And was there ever a point in this event where you took back and kind of stepped back and looked at the event as as just the past 10 years, the decade of the growth of Tupelo? That to me was the perfect celebration to represent what Tupelo has done over the past 10 years. Was there ever a moment where you kind of just stood back and was able to go, wow?
Well, no, but now that you say that, I mean, that is a great example of, this is very significant in the work that we've done. I think that is a conversation we will have. But there's absolutely, without a doubt, if there had not been the vision first, and then the execution of that vision by the people before us, there's no way we could have done what we did. That was the largest event with people on the streets of downtown Tupelo, period. And we did that to begin to celebrate our 150th anniversary. The last decade has seen significant changes in the streetscape. Occupancy on Main Street was at probably 60%. It's now at 90+%. We're getting ready to break ground on a boutique hotel. We have an arena and conference center that has a $14 million expansion going on. The list just goes on. And I think Tupelo's best days are ahead of it, but it's because of great minds and great leaders ahead of us that we're standing on their shoulders and benefiting from their wisdom. And our charge is that we do the same for the next generation. And that's a great challenge, and it's one that we don't take lightly, and it's one that I'm excited about being a part of.
Well, Neal, thank you for your time today. I know you're a busy guy, squeezing me in here, but on a real note, you and I are good friends. I appreciate our friendship. You've been a great mentor for me throughout my career as well. So I appreciate you taking time to talk to us today, and your team here as well.
Oh, well, thank you, Adam, and I appreciate your friendship and certainly appreciate the work you do for ICC. And it matters. It absolutely matters, and glad to be a part of this community in this region.